The sky over Velkar 9 was always bright. Twin suns lit the cities. The rivers shimmered. Airships floated peacefully. Children played in open green parks, and traders moved between planets without fear. The Velkari people were proud. They had not fought a war in 100 years. They believed war was a thing of the past, until one afternoon. The sky turned black. It started like an eclipse. Shadows stretched across buildings. People looked up, confused. One sun disappeared behind something big. Too big. The second sun faded next. Citizens gathered in the streets. They pointed. They whispered. Some felt fear. Others laughed, until they saw the shape. A giant object hovered above the planet. No lights, no sound, no broadcast. Just a shadow with sharp edges and a long black body that covered half the sky. Military scanners failed. Communication towers lost signal. Power dropped across cities. Then came the fear. In the capital city, Governor Reland stood in the high command tower, watching the black shape hover through a glass dome. He spoke calmly into the control room. Try again. Contact the ship. A technician nodded, voice shaking. We've sent 14 signals, no reply. Scan it. We can't. Sir, it's jamming our systems. We don't know how. What kind of ship is it? No one answered. Then another officer spoke. Sir, we found letters on the side of the ship. The screen zoomed in. Faint red letters burned on the surface of the dark hull. HWS Terminus Reland frowned. Human warship? But humans are gone, someone whispered. Earth was destroyed ages ago, another technician replied. The archive said humanity disappeared. No activity. Nothing for centuries. The governor turned sharply. Well, they're back now. Across the planet, fear turned to panic. Civilians rushed into bunkers. Defense, shields powered up. Fighter jets launched into orbit. The Velkari army sent its fastest ships to surround the unknown object. Do not fire, came the governor's order. This is a first contact event. But deep down he knew. This was not first contact. This was a return. The defense fleet approached the warship carefully. 12 ships formed a ring around it. Their weapons were ready, but cold. Then without warning, the human warship moved. It didn't turn, it didn't aim, it just shifted like space itself bent around it. One by one, the Velkari ships vanished. Not exploded, not shot down. They simply stopped existing, gone without sound, without fire, without wreckage. Back in the capital, screens went blank. Panic filled the control room. They're all gone. No signal, no debris. The governor stood frozen. What is this thing? The black ship began to descend, slowly, calmly, as if it had all the time in the universe. Then it spoke. Not through radio, not through sound, but in every mind. Across the planet, people heard the same cold voice inside their heads. This is HWS Terminus. Earth remembers your silence. Your name is on the list. Judgment has come. Children screamed. Grown soldiers dropped their weapons, machines froze, lights died, and then the sky opened. A single red beam fell from the ship. It didn't burn, it didn't explode, it erased. Where it touched the ground, there was nothing. No ash, no crater, just emptiness, like a piece of the planet had never existed. The beam moved slowly, cutting across cities, mountains, rivers, turning all into blank land. Within 1 hour, the entire planet's surface was silent. Only dust remained. No life. No signal. Just one thing left standing. A stone untouched in the center of what once was the capital, etched on it in ancient Earth language. You had your chance. You chose silence. 3 hours later, a scout ship from a nearby system arrived to check the law. Signal lost. They found no cities, no people, no heat. Just one cold, dead world with one black warship rising silently into space, leaving behind a planet that once was full of life. The scout didn't approach. They turned around and fled. And across the galaxy, one question began to spread like fire. What did Earth become? The scout ship Kalin 47 floated above the dead planet. Its crew was silent. They had arrived to help, to respond to a distress call, to assist Velkar 9, a peaceful world known for trade and music. But the planet below was gone. No cities, no forests, no oceans, only flat, empty land stretching from horizon to horizon. It didn't look burned. It looked erased. Captain Jarev stood at the front of the bridge. His green skin had turned pale. Even his breathing slowed as he stared at the screen. "Run. Scans again," he said quietly. A technician shook her head. Still nothing. No heat. No radiation. No signs of life. It's like it was never a planet at all. Jarev didn't respond. His mind was spinning. 12 hours ago, Velkar 9 had 16 million citizens. Now, not even a whisper remained. Only one thing stood on the entire surface, a single stone. The scout ship lowered carefully. They didn't dare land. They sent a drone. It hovered just above the smooth ground. No cracks, no ash. The world had no color, just gray dust and shadow. The drone stopped in front of the stone. Carved deep into its black surface were strange symbols. Sharp, straight, ancient. The AI system on board recognized them. Earth Standard, it said. Ancient human text. The message was short. "We warned you, you forgot, this is the price." Captain Jarev stared at the translation. His fingers trembled. "This isn't an attack," he said. One of the crew asked. "Then what is it?" He looked up slowly. "It's a message. Word. Spread fast." Within hours, the Galactic Union received full footage from the drone. The image of the empty world, the warship, the message. Fear rippled across systems. The news anchors tried to speak calmly. "Velkar 9 has vanished. A warship of unknown human origin was seen leaving the orbit. But people already knew. It wasn't just any warship. It was HWS Terminus." In the Union capital, the High Command met behind sealed walls. Chancellor Dana stood at the head of the table, her face pale, voice calm but sharp. "3 facts are now clear," she began. "First, humanity is not extinct. Second, they have technology beyond anything we've seen. Third," she paused, "they are angry." A general growled. "They had no right to erase Velkar 9, that was murder." Dana shook her head. "No, it was punishment. We don't understand why, but the message is clear. This was personal." Scholar in the back raised her hand slowly. "I've seen this before," she said. "In the archives of the old war." She pulled up an ancient video file. A human soldier covered in dust stood in a burning city. Behind him, alien ships fled the sky. The soldier looked into the camera and shouted, "You left us, you said Earth wasn't worth saving. One day, we'll remember. One day you will too." The video ended. The room was silent. Back in space, the HWS Terminus vanished into the void. No warp signature, no trail, just gone. Some said it folded space. Others said it bent time. But one thing was sure, it left behind no survivors, only a lesson. On trading stations, whispers filled the halls. "The humans are back. They don't speak, they burn." "What did we do to them?" A merchant closed her shop for the first time in 30 years. A pilot refused to take cargo near old human space. And in schools, history books were pulled from shelves. Because now, they weren't history. They were warnings. In a dark corner of the Union, a young boy asked his grandfather, "Grandpa, who are the humans?" The old man's eyes filled with fear. He looked up at the stars and answered, "They're the reason we have peace. Because once, we had war. And they never forgot." The Union High Command met in silence. 12 leaders, 50 admirals, all gathered in the skyglass hall of the Galactic capital. Outside, the city floated above clouds. Inside, the mood was darker than ever. Velkar 9 was gone, erased, and now. The Union had to decide what to do. Chancellor Dana stood at the center of the room. Her voice was calm, but her hands were tight behind her back. I asked for peace. We waited. We watched. We sent no ships. She looked at the silent generals. And what did that warship do? An old admiral spoke. It destroyed without warning. We must act now. If we wait longer, more planets could fall. Another added, the galaxy sees us as weak. We must show strength. A third shouted, it's just one ship. One! But none of them said what they all feared. That one was enough. In Sector 3, the Union's first defense fleet was already preparing for war. 32. Capital ships. 5 dreadnoughts. 1 mobile command carrier. The most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Admiral Vorn, a legend among soldiers, stood on the bridge of his flagship, Vindicator. He smiled coldly. I've fought pirates, monsters, even black hole cults, he said. A ghost ship with an old name won't scare me. He raised a glass of green wine. To victory. The officers cheered. They didn't know. They were already dead. The fleet jumped to the last known path of HWS Terminus. Scouts spread. Wide. Sensors scanned deep. Nothing. Then, a whisper. A distortion. One officer pointed at the screen. Sir, something's wrong. What do you mean? The stars aren't where they should be. Then all screens turned white, and silence followed. Back in the Capitol, Chancellor Dana waited for updates. An officer entered the hall, pale and shaking. Chancellor, we've lost contact with the First Fleet. What do you mean lost? They vanished. How many ships? All of them. She stepped back. All 32, the officer nodded. No explosion, no signal, no escape pods, just gone. Across the stars, the same thing repeated. Second Fleet, gone. Third Fleet, gone. No fight, no war, no trace. The Union tried everything. New scans, new weapons, new codes. Nothing worked. The warship moved like shadow. It answered no calls. It ignored every threat. On a moon base in the outer rim, a young technician found something strange. Footage from a scout drone, captured for 0.4 seconds before signal loss. She slowed the video frame by frame. At first, it showed blackness. Then, a strange light pattern. Not an explosion. Not energy. It looked like a wave. But the stars behind it bent. Like space itself was melting. And then the drone blinked out. She sent the footage to her commander. He watched it, then whispered, "It doesn't destroy, it doesn't fire, it just undoes." In secret meeting rooms, ancient minds spoke. They were called the Preservers, keepers of old truths. One of them, a creature older than light, said, "This ship is not a weapon. It is a story written in fire." Another added, "And every planet that forgets becomes its next chapter." The galaxy changed in days. Trade routes closed. Colonies dimmed their lights. Worlds erased their pasts, hoping not to be noticed. Even pirates whispered prayers to the stars. Please let Earth forget us. But Earth didn't forget, and the HWS Terminus continued forward. No pause, no mercy, no message, only silence before the end. In the center of the Union, Chancellor Dana stood alone in her chamber. She looked at the stars on her map. Thousands of bright dots. Each one could fall. Each one could be next. And then she said softly, "What did we do to deserve this?" Behind her, the lights dimmed. The stars outside blinked, and far, far away, a shadow moved toward the next name on the list. A warship usually speaks with fire, but HWS Terminus had spoken with silence. It didn't demand surrender. It didn't ask for tribute. It simply arrived and decided. And when it left, nothing remained. No survivors, no memory, just smooth gray, soil and a message carved in stone. But someone still alive remembered why. Far away on a forgotten space station orbiting a dying star, An old alien sat alone in the dark. His name was Professor Krayler, and he had once been a historian during the final years of the Earth conflict. He had seen humans before, he had heard the cries, read the forbidden logs, and watched as the galaxy turned its back. Now as stars vanished from his window, he felt it again, that old fear returning. A beep echoed in his room. A private message, encrypted, ancient code. He opened it. The image flickered, a close-up view of the hull of Terminus. And then, a voice. Not loud, not angry, just calm, cold, human. Judgment is not war, judgment is memory, and you forgot. Krayler closed his eyes. They never left, he whispered. They only waited. In the great library of the Union, a young researcher named Ilarin unlocked restricted files. She had a theory. What if the ship isn't attacking randomly? What if it's following a list? Her mentor frowned. A list of what? She pulled up a forgotten document, faded, scanned, erased from records long ago. The Treaty of Silence, signed by 20 civilizations at the end of the Earth War. It stated, Earth will be left alone, no assistance, no contact, no rescue, for the sake of peace. It was a betrayal. Written in legal language, Ilarin zoomed in on the names of the signers: Belkar 9, Zevlon Prime, Tyraxis Major. The names matched the destroyed planets. Her heart froze. It's not random, she whispered. It's justice. Across the galaxy, the pattern became clear. The planets being erased weren't enemies, they were traitors, those who promised peace to Earth, and then turned away when the missiles fell, those who watched Earth burn from orbit, those who signed the silence, and thought it would be forgotten. They were wrong. Inside the HWS Terminus, deep beneath its black armor, was a memory core. It didn't hold maps. It didn't store weapons. It kept names. Billions of names. Of people who died waiting for help. Of leaders who promised and betrayed. Of soldiers who screamed into the stars and received only silence. And in the center of it, all was a man. He didn't sleep. He didn't age. He was half human, half machine, a remnant of Earth's last breath. They called him the Keeper. He sat on a silver throne in the heart of the ship, his veins glowing blue with data. He remembered everything. His voice whispered to the ship, "Next." And it moved. Back on Ilarin's station, alarms blared. She looked out the window. The stars had started to dim, one by one, like candles blown out. She ran to the console and typed one final report. It's not a warship. It's a courtroom, and every planet it visits was a trial. Meanwhile, the galaxy continued to spin in fear. Planets erased all records of Earth. Leaders destroyed old files. Librarians burned history. But it was too late. Terminus didn't need files. It had already judged. On one distant world, the skies turned black as the warship approached. The people kneeled. The leaders sent a message. We are not the ones who betrayed you. That was long ago. And for the first time, Terminus replied, then speak their names. The leaders hesitated, lied, hid the truth. The ship fired. The planet was gone in 10 minutes. And now, the galaxy understood. This was not conquest. This was memory with teeth. The galaxy saw only the outside of the warship, cold, black, and silent. But inside HWS Terminus, the story was different. It was not empty. It was not quiet. And it was not alone. It was alive. And at its heart, something had awakened. Deep in the core of the ship, far below metal decks and armor that could bend starlight, sat a room not built by machines, but shaped by memory. The walls pulsed gently, glowing with soft blue veins. Old Earth symbols glowed on every surface. But they were not just decorations, they were thoughts. They were reminders. In the center of the room stood a throne, made of steel and bone. On that throne sat a figure, unmoving, the Keeper. His body was not young. His skin was pale and stretched. But where his veins once carried blood now flowed light. His eyes stayed closed, but he was not asleep. He was listening. He had been there since the beginning, not of the galaxy, but of Earth's end. He was the last commander, the final voice in the dark, the man chosen to carry Earth's truth across time. His name had once been Commander Arlen Voss, but now he had no name, only purpose. The ship spoke gently to him in a voice only he could hear. Voss, another system erased. Do you wish to rest? Now? His lips moved slowly. No, we are not finished. You have not rested in 297 years. There are still names on the list. You no longer bleed, you no longer age. I no longer forget. Flashes of memory swirled through his mind. He saw the final day, Earth burning, cities breaking, children crying into silent skies. All while the galaxy watched and turned. Away, ships flew by, they saw, they did nothing. That was when the order was given. Build one ship. Load it with every cry, every scream, every betrayal. Send it to sleep until the stars forget. Then, wake it. The ship's AI had kept him alive, not just his body, but his grief, his fury, his memory. Terminus wasn't built to destroy, it was built to remember so deeply. It could burn truth into stars. In another part of the ship, a foreign signal tried to break in. A tiny probe had reached the hull. It scanned the outer walls. It whispered soft greetings. Peace. We come in peace. The ship allowed the probe to pass. It flew through long halls filled with silence, past metal statues shaped like soldiers, past walls covered in glowing names, millions of them, names of Earth's dead. The probe reached the inner chamber. It floated in front of the Keeper's throne. Then his eyes opened, slow, steady, and the probe shut down instantly, not from force, but from fear. Elsewhere in the galaxy, the probe signal cut out. A young alien scientist watching the feed stood up. What happened? Asked her commander. She whispered, It saw a human, still alive, inside the ship. They all froze. You're sure? She nodded. He looked wrong, not dead, but not normal. He looked like time forgot him, like he was part of the ship, and then she added, he didn't look angry. He looked sad. Back in the warship, the Keeper stood slowly. Metal hissed beneath his feet. Lights followed his steps. He walked through a long hall where each wall showed Earth before it fell. Blue skies, laughter, oceans, songs. He stopped at one image, a girl in a yellow dress holding a red flower. He touched the screen. She waited. He whispered, and no one came. Then he turned away. Next system, he said aloud. The ship responded. Coordinates locked, judgment ready, and the HWS Terminus moved again. No engine burn, no sound, just space bending. And then it was gone. Somewhere in the deep corners of the galaxy, a boy looked up at the stars. He had learned of the humans in school. He asked his father, why are they angry? His father paused. They're not angry, he said. They just remember what no one else wants to. The people of Ariathea Prime believed they were safe. Their skies were clean. Their cities were shining. Their leaders wore white and spoke of peace. They had not fought a war in generations. They built art, gardens, and floating palaces. But above, their perfect world, the stars began to fade. Not from clouds, not from weather, but from something massive, something silent, something remembered. The first to see it was a child. She pointed at the sky. Look, Mama. A shadow. Her mother looked up and froze. Above them was a shape, black, long, unmoving, stretching across the sky like a scar. People gathered. They stared. Some pulled out cameras. Some knelt and prayed. And far above in orbit, the HWS Terminus waited. It did not attack. Not yet. Inside the palace, the leaders met in panic. "This can't be real," said the High Chancellor. "It matches. The records," a general replied. "That's the same ship that erased Velkar 9, and the fleets. It's the human warship." "We never harmed Earth," said the finance minister. "Why would it come here?" An old voice answered from the shadows. "We were part of the treaty." Everyone turned. Standing in the corner was Advisor Melik, the last living diplomat from the Earth negotiations. His voice was weak, but steady. "We didn't launch the missiles," he said. "But we agreed not to help. We signed the silence." The room went still. At that moment, a signal arrived. No sound. Just a message burned into every screen, every device, every wall. It was 5 words. "Speak the truth, or burn." The Chancellor shouted, Tell them we want peace." Another yelled, "Say we never betrayed Earth." But Melik stepped forward. "If you lie," he whispered, "it will know." They ignored him. A message was sent. "We are innocent. We had no part in Earth's fall. Please pass in peace." The planet held its breath. Above, the warship remained still. 1 minute passed, then 2. Then the sky changed. The clouds above Ariathea turned black, not from smoke, from silence. Birds fell from the air, plants wilted, winds died, and then came the sound. Not a roar, but everything going quiet. Even children stopped crying. Across the capital, the warship's message appeared again. This time, it was longer. "You chose silence when Earth screamed, and now you use silence to hide. You were given a chance to remember, you chose to lie." Then the sky opened. A red light spread from the warship, slow, wide, and terrifying. It didn't explode. It simply touched the surface, and everything it touched vanished. Glass, steel, stone, people, gone without pain, gone without heat. Just gone. The warship moved the beam slowly, like a painter wiping away color. Whole cities disappeared in silence. Forests folded into dust. Oceans turned into empty craters. The great floating palaces dropped and vanished before they hit the ground. Only one place was left untouched. A single hill outside the capital. There, old Advisor Melik knelt beside a message stone. He had carved into it with his own hands. As the sky darkened, he wrote, "We were wrong, Earth remembered, and nope, so do I." When the beam reached his feet, it stopped. The ship hovered, watched, then turned away. The next day, the planet was gone, but the stone remained, floating in orbit, untouched, glowing with human text. It was found days later by a passing science ship. They read the message, they said nothing, and then they sent it to every world. The galaxy finally understood. The warship offered no peace, only one final chance to tell the truth. And if you lied, you were erased, not as punishment, as justice. And, far away, deep inside HWS Terminus, the Keeper whispered, "Memory is not revenge. It is the fire that burns away lies." The galaxy had been reduced to whispers. Worlds that once sang with pride now spoke in fear. Empires that once ruled with power now trembled in silence. Wherever HWS Terminus passed, only one thing remained. Nothing. Planets erased. Skies turned to ash. Memories burned into silence. There was only one name left on its list, only one world untouched. Valerian Prime. Valerian was old, older than the war, older than Earth's betrayal. Its towers touched the clouds, its armies stretched across moons. And its king, Auron Vex, had never bowed in his life, until now. He stood in the great chamber, wearing silver robes, the symbol of the stars glowing on his chest. Before him, his people watched, silent, tired. Behind him, holograms showed reports, burned. Planets erased empires. He had seen the pattern. He had seen the judgment. He knew they were next. And yet, he made a choice. He didn't order ships to launch. He didn't raise the shields. He didn't call for lies. Instead, he sent his daughter. Her name was Saren Vex, heir to Valerian's throne, young, sharp, honest. She wore no armor. She carried no weapon, only a scroll in her hand and truth in her voice. She entered a small shuttle and flew alone toward the shadow in the stars, toward the terminus. The warship saw her approach, but it did not fire. It simply opened a path, a soft corridor of dim, red light. She entered without a word. The inside was dark, alive, ancient. Walls whispered. Names glowed on the floors beneath her feet. She passed statues of fallen soldiers, human and not. She walked until she reached the heart of the ship, and there on a throne made of steel and silence sat the keeper. He opened his eyes. Saren bowed her head. "I speak for Valerian," she said softly. "I speak not to escape, but to remember." She knelt, unrolled the scroll, and read. Not a message of peace, not an apology, a confession. "We saw Earth fall, and we turned our ships away. We signed the Treaty of Silence. We erased the truth from our history books. We taught our children that Earth fell because it was weak. But the truth is, we were cowards, and you were left alone." Her hands shook. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked up. "We cannot undo the past, but we can speak it. Fully. Now. While someone still listens." The ship was silent. The keeper stared, then stood. He stepped forward. Slowly. He reached out and touched the scroll. And for the first time in 300 years, he closed his eyes. Outside, in orbit, every sensor caught the moment. The warship paused. Its weapons powered down, its shadow lifted, and then it stopped. Valerian was spared, not because they fought, not because they hid, but because they told the truth. The next day, a final signal echoed across the galaxy. From the warship itself. It spoke only once in every language. "Judgment ends, the record is full, memory is complete. Let silence fall where it belongs." And then the HWS terminus turned and vanished, gone from sensors, gone from space, gone from war. It didn't go home, because Earth was gone. It didn't seek revenge, because the list was finished. It simply went quiet, for the first time in centuries. The keeper sat in the dark again. No alarms, no targets, only stars. He looked at the last entry on his screen, Saren Vex's name. Next to it, one word, truthful. He smiled and closed his eyes once more. Years passed. The galaxy began to rebuild. Worlds shared stories. Children learned history as it truly happened. Statues were raised, not of kings or conquerors, but of a black warship that came not to kill, but to remember. On one quiet moon, beneath the stars, a message was carved into stone. No name, no flag, just 4 words. Truth ends the fire.